Quote of the day comes from 2013 from David Rockefeller. We need to institute a cashless system by 2016. Bitcoin price is currently $342. Today is November 12th, 2015. The Rothschild family is said to be the richest family in the world and the originators of our modern way of banking. 187 of 200 central banks around the world are owned by the Rothschild family. These banks are all working together to compete to devalue the currency by printing excess money and holding interest rates to zero. The process has already begun to bring interest rates to a negative rate. This will force people to pay banks for the pleasure of holding their money and will eventually lead people to taking their money out of banks and to look for alternatives for preserving their wealth. Following precious metals' possible rise and lack of access in time of distress, the most obvious solution will be Bitcoin when it becomes more mainstream as people look for safety. Bitcoin will replace gold as a store of value due to the economic confidence that will be behind Bitcoin as the price moves up. This will be by design as you start seeing the talking heads out there endorsing Bitcoin. We are being methodically herded in this direction, and this will become more apparent as time moves forward. The Federal Reserve and central banks around the world are systematically trying to kill themselves. I predict that central banking as we see it today will end, and the solution will be a global central bank or a global financial order controlled by computers. Central banks are not only trying to make themselves look incompetent, but also make it look like people cannot be trusted, so that central banking will be handed over to computers. I get this from a statement from Milton Friedman, who was a political operative for another banking elite family, the Rockefeller family, who stated, "We don't need a Federal Reserve. All money can be created from supercomputers." This is where Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency will come in. What we are witnessing from central banking today is too stupid to be called stupid and could be seen as intentional in order to destroy the economy of the West and usher in a new financial order while people are begging for change. This is exactly the Hegelian dialectic of problem-reaction-solution. The solution is always a false solution that has already been predetermined prior to the problem arising. This explains why there's so many manufactured crises occurring, and the West seems to be slowly dying by death by 1,000 cuts. Bitcoin is an NSA and banking project for a new global currency. The NSA has published similar papers similar to the Satoshi white paper on the cryptography of anonymous electronic cash in 1996. There are many that believe that the internet was created for the purpose of creating virtual monies so that every transaction could be taxed and tracked. American Express, Visa, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and so forth have already made big investments into Bitcoin technology. Bitcoin is what I call gold GMO. This is obvious in my eyes, but many have failed to recognize. Bitcoin is not disruptive to the banking cartel, and I will prove to you it's integrative and cooperative with the new system that is approaching. Here are just a few of the newest headlines related to Bitcoin and blockchain technology. The NASDAQ is set to unveil its new blockchain-based platform, which will facilitate share transfers and sales on its private market. American Express will be testing the waters of Bitcoin and blockchain technology. MasterCard will be investing in digital currencies through its venture capital group. Visa Europe will be debuting its Bitcoin remittance proof of concept. Healthcare giant Philips will be exploring blockchain technology. USAA, Microsoft, Dell, Expedia, and Virgin Galactic will be accepting Bitcoins as payments. Diebold, the same company widely known for rigging voting machines in presidential elections, now has its own Bitcoin ATMs. The CFTC confirmed that Bitcoins and other digital currencies are considered commodities covered by the Commodities Exchange Act. And not surprisingly, the European Union decides it will give Bitcoin a pass and give an exemption to the value-added tax. So that's just a few of the many things that are happening with Bitcoin that you won't see from the mainstream media. There are millions of dollars of venture capital money moving and flowing into Bitcoin, exploring and improving Bitcoin and blockchain technology every day. Bitcoin has seemed to overcome any hurdle that stands in its way. Like I've stated previous, if Bitcoin was a threat to the banking elite's fiat currency, they would 1. Regulate it away, 2. Give it bad press, 3. Attach a bad stigma to its use, 4. Continually pump and dump it, making it extremely unstable, 5. Use current and future banking laws to shut down the exchanges, and 6. Tax the hell out of it, making it very difficult to use as a currency. Most of the large banks have expressed positive sentiments toward Bitcoin and are looking to integrate the technology into banking. Ben Bernanke, the ex-chairman of the Federal Reserve, had an early opportunity to discredit virtual currency when asked, but instead said he thinks virtual currencies could provide a more secure, faster, and more efficient payment system. This is a very surprising response considering the Federal Reserve's US dollar would be competing with Bitcoins, and it's pretty well known that the US dollar is the dominant currency around the world and does not like competition. Just try and asking the late ex-presidents Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, who both tried to move away from the US dollar for trading oil. 25 of the largest banks in the world are currently investing in Bitcoin technology. I'll just list a few. Bank of America, Citi, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Morgan Stanley, Royal Bank of Canada, Barclays, BBVA, Credit Suisse, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Royal Bank of Scotland, UBS. That's just to name a few. Does this really sound like banks fear Bitcoin? Or are we looking at the integration of Bitcoin technology with banking? You be the judge. The Economist magazine is a Rothschild family bank-owned magazine, and in a 1988 issue, the cover clearly states, "Get ready for a world currency by 2018, of which they call that currency the Phoenix." The more recent October 2015 issue of The Economist magazine, while the Economist piece began by noting Bitcoin's bad reputation, wild fluctuations, and associated with cybercrime, the piece quickly sought to debunk the narrative, saying favorably, "The technology behind Bitcoin lets people who do not know or trust each other build a dependable ledger." In a recent article by CoinDesk summarizing The Economist, it stated that The Economist magazine is notably the second to make these comparisons in recent months following the October edition of Bloomberg Markets, which featured digital asset holding CEO Blythe Masters on its cover. You would think if Bitcoin were competing with the banking industry, The Economist magazine's remarks would be more negative and in favor of the status quo, clearly not seen here. Moving on. So why are people failing by ignoring these pressing issues? I believe that most people want to believe that Satoshi was a real person. We are programmed to believe in superheroes, so it's easy to believe that Satoshi came to save us from the banks, when in reality we are being pushed into a new system that will be integrated into a new type of banking. Ask yourself, how likely is it that 6 weeks after the financial collapse of 2008, that Satoshi came up with the Bitcoin white paper? There is no way in a 6-week period that any one person came up with this amazing concept of blockchain technology that integrates banking, cryptography, principles of scarcity, triple book entry accounting, smart contracts, and economics into one currency. So far, the real Satoshi has failed to reveal himself and take credit for the technology. At one point, Time magazine tried to falsely accuse someone of being Satoshi as a misdirection and a distraction. There is no Satoshi, and there is no way that one person could have came up with this technology in just a short period of time. The anonymous Satoshi character was created so no nation could take claim to this technology. There is no doubt that Bitcoin is 100 times better than fiat currency and in some regards better than gold. The problem with precious metals is that it's difficult to break down into smaller units. It has to be inspected for purity, it has to be stored in a secure location and audited regularly. It usually involves trusted third parties when stored in vaults, and it's too slow for global trade in a system obsessed with speed. Bitcoin was created for the purpose of rapid global trade and as metric accounting. Many people cannot understand this concept and are hung up on the fact that it's virtual, not realizing that more than 90% of all money used today is based on a virtual concept, and most money today is not hard cash. We have been slowly conditioned over the last 40 years to accept virtual money. Precious metals have been slowly phased out in preparation for the new system. This has to do with confidence. If people are not confident that precious metals are a store of value, then they will move on to the next best thing. People seem to have a herd mentality. The elite are slowly cornering the masses to accept cryptocurrency as the solution to the massive amounts of money printing around the world. Bitcoin will replace gold by design, as the run-up in the price following a major crisis. Bitcoin will attract new speculators in the market that are looking for a new way to protect their wealth, make secure transactions, and easily carry their wealth from one nation to the next. I do believe that precious metals at some point will go up in value, but everybody will not have access in difficult times. I personally have precious metals but have moved on to digital currency a few years ago after figuring all this out. I don't have any recommendations for the people out there, but I urge you to do the best thing for your situation and to look at all options objectively. If you want to find out more information or you just want to keep up with crypto technology, I suggest you go to Coindesk.com or Cointelegraph.com. I'm not affiliated with either. I'll be posting periodically on any odd findings related to Bitcoin technology that will be useful in figuring out this new paradigm we are approaching.